ton to talk about tonight.
We
so
do.
We should probably get started.
Yeah, we can't. I mean, we will continue to let people in, and you can watch the recording back if you missed the first part. But yeah, we should probably get started.
So welcome, guys, to another Gathering Update Zoom as we help you guys prepare for the 2025 LCMS Youth Gathering in New Orleans. We're going to be walking alongside you guys as you prepare to attend Endure next summer, next July. We can finally say next July.
Oh, Meredith.
As a reminder,
I don't know if people are ready for that. I'm not quite ready for that yet.
As a reminder for you guys, we're going to be doing these Zoom updates leading up all the way to the gathering. They're going to be on the second Thursday of the month. 30 minutes of information from Juliana and I, and then we'll have 30 minutes of office hours where we turn the recording off and answer any of your gathering questions. As always, you can email us questions if you have something specific about your congregation, or if you want to share this recording with somebody else, or you have to miss a month. We do upload those the next day on the Gathering YouTube channel, and we upload them into the LCMS Youth Ministry Facebook group. So if you're not on those yet, make sure that you're signed up to get those notifications. If we haven't met yet, my name is Meredith Smith. I'm here with DCE Juliana Schultz, and we're going to be walking alongside you guys tonight as we talk about special needs support at the gathering.
You'll notice we got some folks in our in the group. I don't know what you call it. In the people, right? Who are here, who are from our special needs team. They are joining us tonight. So we have Sarah Mulso, Beth Selsley, and Andy is also. Andy, correct me. How do I say your last name right?
Frericks, isn't it?
Frerick.
There we go. I are there in the group for you.
But before we get into this month's topic, let's go over a few announcements because I feel like a lot has happened since we last met in July. So much has happened. So we want to first say a huge thank you to all of our adult leaders and our youth and our young adults that attended National in New Orleans. We hope you left the conference feeling better prepared to lead a group to the gathering and lead a group in New Orleans and lead a group in your youth ministry and your congregation. I know that I really love seeing all the energy from the adult leaders. It's super life-giving for me. And also, I saw so many people wearing their gathering clothes that they shopped at the gathering store. That makes me even more excited that you guys were repping all that Endure gear already. If you haven't had a chance to shop the gathering store, you can always shop online. We put the QR code and the link on the slide. So make sure that you're gearing up for the gathering, grab some of those last minute things. And I might be able to tell you that there's some things coming out this fall that you might have asked for.
Very cool. Yes, very exciting. Also, since we last talked to you guys, we've opened up our young adult volunteer application for those who are young adults aged 19 to 25. As a reminder, the young adult volunteer application is open until December 31st of 2024. So you have till the absolute end of the year. So plenty of time to encourage the young adults in your life to serve in this way. We've had already over 400 applications, which is fantastic.
I think we might be over 450 since I last checked.
Nice, right? To serve both you and your youth during the days of the gathering. Our YAG team is really hoping, they're pushing for those 1,000 applications. If you have a young person who you might want to think about, make sure to send an application. And we always love when congregations are able to include their young adults in, say, the process of fundraising and encouraging those young adults as they plan to be there, because we know that service is just so incredibly impactful to the quality of the gathering that we're able to produce for you guys.
And we'll be sending out reminders, so you'll hear a lot from us about the YAB application in the next coming months. So please do pass that along.
So quickly, somebody said, what's the responsibility of a YAB? We have a ton of different responsibilities. So one of the things that you can do is, if you look at the application, we have some questions that what they might be interested in, and then we spread them out over all different kind of programmatic components of the gathering. So you can learn more by going to the website. Meredith just threw that up in the chat.
Lots of information, and there's even a video that you can watch to see a little bit of what a YAB's job is during the days of the gathering.
Nice.
So let's dive into this month's topic. So like Juliana said, we've got the special needs team here in the chat to talk with us to make sure that we're telling you guys the right information as they're doing their planning to make sure that your youth and your adults that have special needs are supported at the gathering. We really like to think of them as a resource for our adult leaders who are bringing those youth and adults with special needs to the gathering. They are available before and during the gathering to support you as an adult leader and to create a successful experience for your young people, your group, and of course you. So if you have youth with a special need, the special needs team is going to be working with your group to coordinate accommodations for as many physical, developmental, and sensory needs as possible. And our special needs team works really hard to make those accommodations for those participants. Some of the accommodations that we commonly make at the gathering include those accommodations for additional adult leaders beyond the recommended youth to adult ratio. So if you've been on the gathering website, the frequently asked questions, we kind of have a system of how many adults you should bring based on the number of youth you're bringing. But we realize that it could be beneficial for a youth with special needs to have their own additional caregiver with them. So we do make that accommodation. We help with mobility assistance. So we'll talk about this more in a few minutes, but the gathering does provide some shuttling to the gathering program facilities for those needing assistance with their mobility, if you need a wheelchair or anything like that. We've also helped with visual assistance and interpreters and other assistance for the hard of hearing or deaf. I'm realizing that there is a typo on this screen, but that's okay. I'll fix that later. And then we also offer the sensory and quiet room for those youth and adults that might need something like that. And we realize that every person with special needs has a unique set of needs. So we do try and personalize those accommodations as best as possible to ensure that the gathering is a fruitful experience for everybody that's attending.
Right. So just because you don't see an accommodation on this slide doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? But we kind of put this out there just to give you a sense of like what it is that our special needs team might be able to help you with, right? And if you think like, okay, I could really maybe use this, I think maybe the special needs team could help me with it. This is great. We want you to fill out a special needs form. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But we wanted to get involved in that conversation with you because that's where most of our accommodations lie. There are a couple of like limitations to the things that we are going to be able to offer in terms of those special needs. I think one of the first things we were going to say is because we don't control the food, right? Because food is something that you guys do independent of the programming of the gathering. We cannot accommodate food allergies. Now, the caveat to that is we do, as we work with venues, as we work with, say, like organized box lunches and those kinds of things, we are able to then give you an idea of if you're going to be able to have access to vegetarian or gluten-free or dairy-free, those kinds of options. And we know those a little bit closer to the gathering. Same thing with like food that might be available, say in the stadium. We're able to give you a little more information about that, where our food team is available. But for the most part, yes, we are going to have gluten-free wafers for communion, and that is going to be available. So. And then other accommodations, like as you travel, that's something that you're going to have to organize your group travel and travel around the city outside of the program. So being able to think through like what that might look like for you, as well as like events and activities done outside of the gathering programming. There's so much to do in New Orleans.
So much.
There's so many places to visit. And so one of those things that you'll have to think about for your group, if you have somebody who maybe has a particular accommodation they need, is how is that going to work for them in your group. And then also, we do not manage medical equipment. There is actually strangely high demand for that, and not something that we're able or capable of managing. And so we make connections to rental equipment, and we know there's to be a need for it. So we'll work with some organizations or some companies to be able to do that. But if you need to rent equipment on site, whether that's you have a kid who sprains an ankle, they need crutches, we can tell you where to get the crutches, but you're going to have to get those crutches yourself. That kind of situation.
Yeah, our special needs team really does a lot of work in making the gathering a space for everyone to enjoy. However, some of this work begins right now in your planning process. So let's talk about how we can all navigate special needs support for your youth and adults in your gathering preparation. First and foremost, we encourage you to start having these conversations with youth and families right now as you're doing, you're in the middle of gathering, planning fundraisers and all of that. You should start having those conversations. In addition to having these conversations and working with the individual that has a special need, the more time that you can spend with the youth or adult with special needs, the better it will give you an idea or a sense of information about what their actual needs, opportunities, and concerns that there might be when it comes to traveling with somebody with special needs. when registration materials are available, which will be tomorrow.
Ooh,
Tomorrow by the end of the day.
yeah.
So you guys will be able to look at all of this and what we're talking about. You'll want to download the special needs worksheet and from the Gathering website. And as an adult leader, you want to have that conversation with the family and fill out this special needs worksheet. And then you're going to keep that worksheet with you until you can begin your data entry in October. And then you're going to enter in all the information that you collected into the Gathering registration system. Once registration opens, again, you enter it online, and then it's automatically going to be passed along to our office and the special needs team. And once we get that special needs worksheet and that information filled out in your registration, somebody from the special needs team, so Andy, Sarah, or Beth, who are in this Zoom with us tonight, are going to reach out to you, and you're going to set up a phone conversation, and they're going to talk through the concerns and the accommodations that the Gathering can provide for you. We really do encourage the parents of the youth that has special needs to join in on the phone call. The more that we know, the better. And it helps us better prepare you and better prepare the Gathering as we're in the middle of this planning process. And just so you know, we also included the special needs sections in our young adult volunteer application, and then it'll be in our Team Flex application. It was also in the ambassador application. And although that application is already closed, if you have something that comes up or you have questions, we still want to reach out. The special needs team still wants to reach out to those volunteers, and we welcome those volunteers to come and help serve. If you're willing to serve, even if you have a special need, we're going to do our best to accommodate you and work with you during your time of service at the Gathering. During registration, also, you're going to have the option to express interest in an off-site and an on-site service learning opportunity. So if that is something that your group is interested in, you're going to want to make sure that you're talking to the special needs team about that. We want to make sure that you guys can serve and serve well. And that might look different depending on what your special needs may be in your group. But we do want to work through that with you and make sure that you guys have the opportunity to serve, because we know how impactful that is for groups and how many people love serving at the Gathering. So make sure that you're having those conversations and bring that stuff up when you have your phone conversation with the special needs team.
Yeah, I'm going to ask just real quick, special needs team, is there anything you guys want to add to this so far? I'm giving them like 5 seconds. Because we have a lot more.
We have a lot more to go.
You're doing great.
All right, excellent. Okay, so we also want to talk about, this is applicable for youth as well as leaders, correct. So this is the same thing is going to be true if you have an adult leader who has a special need as well. Right, so it doesn't matter any kind of participant that might need those special needs. You're going to do the same process for them. You're going to fill out the form. We can include them on the phone call, all of that good stuff. All right, so all the work that you put into your planning process is going to really pay off for your days at the Gathering, right? So groups with either youth or with an adult who has special needs, let's talk about some things that we want you to expect at the Gathering. So one of the first things is that we can, for some people with special needs, we are going to assign you to what we call our special needs hotel. Not everybody who has special needs is going to be at this hotel, right? Some people are not going to need that particular accommodation, so that's part of that conversation with the special needs team to determine which groups need accommodations at that hotel. We don't know which hotel it is yet. We'll let you know as we get closer in, but your whole group will be assigned to that hotel should that be something that you need. So we're not going to pull part of your group into one hotel and some into another. Your whole group would be there. But we have a hotel that will have some particular accommodations that will be specific to special needs. Part of that accommodation is going to be a shuttle provided from the convention center to the Superdome. Now, we want to make this clear, right, that this is not for a whole group, right? This is for somebody who has maybe physical limitations or has a specific need, is not able to make the walk to the Superdome. And so then that participant, an adult leader, and one friend is able to ride that shuttle both to the Superdome and back at the end of the night. So it's a rotating shuttle that our special needs team will man, that you'll be able to take advantage of if that's something that your participant needs. right? There is dedicated seating, right? So when you're getting into the Superdome, right, there's some amazing, great ADA seating that will be announced closer to the gathering. We're working with assigned seating. So right now, the thing that we're gonna say is we can't guarantee that your group will be able to be close to your special needs participant. And so that means that if our special needs participant, the ADA seating is further away from your group, we'll have space there for that person, an adult leader, and a friend, right? We don't want them to be isolated in this. We're working with some ways that we might be able to get your group closer to the ADA seating. We're gonna do our best on that, but right now we can't guarantee that. So I think it's best to plan that your special needs thing is gonna be your youth with special needs, an adult leader, and a friend. And then on site, if a participant needs that equipment rental, we'll give you some ways to be able to secure that rental. We'll give you some ideas. If you have an incident that happens while you're there, certainly we can help you. You call the helpline. Helpline will get you the names and numbers of those places where you can secure your own rental equipment. So there's definitely some supports that we can provide for you there. This is a surprising number of people who need who maybe sprain ankles or twist knees or whatever. Things I didn't know when I was an adult leader, just how many injuries there might be in 20,000 people who come.
Also at the gathering, we are committed to using interpreters for our stadium events, our Bible studies, and our sessions. So if you are hard of hearing or deaf, we'll make sure that we have a section that you can utilize interpreters. Again, this would probably mean specialized seating for your entire group. We're still working on what that seating looks like, so it might just be like Juliana mentioned, the youth with special needs, an adult leader, and a friend. But we want to make sure that you guys have access to that if you have somebody with hearing impairment. When it comes to sensory needs, a lot of youth have their own system of what works for them. So make sure you're discussing that with their youth and your families of what strategies they have and do what works best for them. So like if they need to bring noise canceling headphones to the stadium events, like we're totally okay with that and would welcome that. So especially if that makes your group experience a lot easier and a lot better. We saw a lot of use of our sensory and quiet rooms in 2022. So we're working on bringing those back, a number of them. They'll be both in the convention center and the stadium, and they'll be able to accommodate a lot of different needs. And we'll communicate as we get closer to the gathering where those locations are and what you need to do to get into those locations.
Yeah, so again, if you have a young person or an adult leader who needs access to that sensory room, don't hesitate to fill out a special needs form. If that's really even the only thing they need, the more we're able to know who's going to need to access that, the better it helps us to navigate what those rooms should look like and what kind of space we're going to need for those.
And we want you to make the best decision for your young people, especially those with special needs, which this could include watching the live stream of the stadium events each night. And then the gathering is also, we're exploring different watching area options. So if there was an offsite or just a different place to watch that maybe is a little bit quieter and not as crowded. So we're exploring that, and we'll communicate that with you guys as we work through the planning process on that.
And that's why it's really important for us to have as much information as you feel comfortable giving us about what those needs might be, right? Because if we see a great number of people who need a certain kind of accommodation, that helps us to put a little more time and energy into what that looks like versus if we don't hear from anybody, we assume that there's not a need there, and then we accidentally miss a group of people, and that's really what we're trying to avoid here. Right. One of the things we do want to be clear is like most medical conditions your young people have is going to be managed in your group, right? So you have a young person who has a chronic deals with chronic migraines, or you have a young person who's got asthma, or you have a young person who's diabetic, right? All those kinds of things. Typically, those are managed by your group. That's not necessarily something that we need to get involved in. Certainly, we want to make sure that you're talking to your church's leader and determining how you're going to use, what kind of policies you have around administering medications. I know for some people, the parent really wants the young person to manage their own medications, and others, we want an adult to be able to manage that medication. You need to check your church's policy on how you do that. also be checking medical forms and whether or not you're able to give any kind of medication to your young people. What are parents comfortable with, that kind of a thing. If somebody has a stomach ache, are we able to take care of that?
Right.
Certainly. And making sure that youth are taking care of themselves as a part of the gathering. And we say this for everybody. This is not just special needs, right? This is for us too. There's so much that's happening. You're so busy. You're so tired. We want to make sure that our youth are not forgetting to take medication, or adults are not forgetting to take medication, right? That you're making good decisions based on their medical needs. So you have a young person who maybe is on the borderline on a food allergy, that they're paying attention to that, they're not making themselves inadvertently sick or whatever. And then we certainly will make sure that if you have a need for a refrigerator in a room, that's something that we can accommodate. But all of our hotels are walkable, so you should be able to access refrigerated medications as much as you need. So those are some things to be thinking about. We say all this to say, right? We're not here to be nosy, but we need you to share pertinent information with the special needs team. All the information shared with the special needs team is kept confidential. This is not something that we share with other people. But not all special needs are obvious to us, right? And certainly we don't see you until you're in New Orleans. Right? So our team doesn't want to make any assumptions about what a participant or an adult leader may or may not be able to do when it comes to accommodations. And so we want you to tell us everything that might be pertinent. We can't assist and provide accommodations if we don't know that they exist, right? So if you're not sure, we always want to hedge on the side of putting in a form, talking to our special needs team. Worst case, it's something that we're alerted to, even if it's not necessarily something that we need to be involved in, right? So we want to make sure that we don't want to make any assumptions about what people are capable of doing, what needs people might have. So please do that. We are also recognize that there are a strange amount of accommodations that need to happen
4 to 6 weeks for
right? So we close registration. We shut down Bravera. We don't want you to mess with Bravera because we need it to stay where it is, right? And then suddenly you have a young person who's got a concussion.
Yes.
Right? And so if you have one of those last minute accommodations, Joe went to football camp and now has a torn ACL and now we're in crutches or whatever. You can email us at the registration email and get in contact with that special needs for our team to be able to figure that out. There might be some limitations we have at that point on what we're capable of doing, but for the most part, if you're able to reach out to us, we are able to then help mediate that for you.
And sometimes it's hard to know if youth or adults have a special need or if they're going to need special needs accommodations at the gathering. So as you're having these conversations with your group and their families, we want to remind you that we do have a day in the life of the gathering video as a resource to share with those people, to just give them an idea of what the gathering is. There's loud noises, there might be strobe lights, there's crowds, there's definitely going to be heat. Things like that. The more they know, the more informed decisions that can be made for your group and for your youth and adults. And again, this is also true for our adult leaders. We want them to be fully present during the days of the gathering. So we want to make sure that they know how they can take care of the young people in your group and take care of themselves.
Yeah. Okay. So, nope, that, I was like, why is that? We talked about that already, right? All right, one more quick 5-second stop. Special needs team, we're getting to the end of our time. We're gonna talk about a few things, jump in if you need to.
You're doing good.
All right, excellent. Okay, special needs to consider in New Orleans specifically. If you've been to New Orleans, if you went to National, you saw some rough and unpaved sidewalks. So if you have somebody who is normally pretty okay, but they have, not necessarily great uneven surfaces, that might be something that you're gonna need to consider. Thinking about how you're gonna get to and from, say like your hotel or other places for programming, right? Consider like if you're going to go to a great restaurant, is it a historic building? Does it only have stairs, right? So things like that. We have lots of historic buildings, lots of kind of rough cobblestone sort of situations there. Planning around, and then heat. Heat's a huge thing, right? So we know people might be totally well managed if you live in Minnesota most of the year. Heat's not an issue until heat's an issue, right? So thinking about the things that you can control, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we want you guys to control your travel schedules. Leave yourself ample time to get, even before you get to the gathering, ample time to get through the airport or through, traveling on a bus. And control the schedule in the sense of like, don't overpack your schedule. There's a lot to do at the gathering, and we know that there's a lot to do. But make sure that you're doing
not a challenge.
It's not a challenge
to do all of the things at the gathering.
Like we mentioned earlier, if you have a youth that has special needs and it would just be beneficial to have a dedicated caregiver for that youth, please encourage them to come and know that it won't count against your youth to adult ratio. Again, create that schedule with realistic expectations. Just know that, I get tired during the days of the gathering, and I can't live on Mountain Dew and coffee only. So setting those realistic expectations of what a day will look like for your group. And then as always, consider those meals, food, water, especially water. Nobody wants to go to the gathering and be hangry. Like that's just not good for anybody.
No, or dehydrated.
Oh,
right?
No, the worst.
And that's not just for special needs, right? That's for everyone. So really helping to think through in advance what that's going to look like for your group, and whether or not you need some particular accommodations in the programming for that. Again, we want to make sure that you have time. If you have specific questions about maybe a young person or an adult in your group, you can certainly email us. And at the gathering office, we're able to either email that request to special needs team, or we can answer some of those questions for you. And then if you have, we are almost out of time. I think we can maybe take one question. Will all hotel rooms have fridge, microwave, kitchenette? No. Not all rooms will have that. I feel like most of the rooms we've been in
have fridges, but not all of them have microwaves.
Right, so if that is something that you specifically need, that's something, and that's a medical need, that's something that you would maybe reach out to us about.
Sarah's asking about the limit of adults per youth that are allowed to attend. Sarah, I would encourage you to go check out that youth to adult ratio on our frequently asked questions page, or it'll be available tomorrow in the registration information on the gathering website. That has all the numbers so you can see what will work best for your group.
Right. Yeah, so we're saying, like, that's what we want you to stick to unless there's a special needs form that's into us and that explains why you need that extra adult to them. Yes, we do have an estimate of how much hotels are going to cost per night. That's going to be in the Excel sheet on the resource page because that number is not in my brain right now.
180 plus tax.
So good.
For each room per night. Again, if you guys can wait till tomorrow, all the registration's up, all this information is gonna be on the gathering website.
It's gonna be so good.
Set a reminder at the end of the day tomorrow to double check the registration page on the gathering website. We'll probably answer a lot of your registration questions at least.
Yeah.
We're getting to the end of our time, so I'm gonna go ahead and put up the information for next month's Zoom. If you're gonna stick around for office hours, you can continue to leave questions in the chat and we'll tackle them in a few minutes. But go ahead and register for the September gathering update where we're going to be talking about the registration process, which I can't believe is already happening.
That's right.
And speaking of registration, we want to make sure you guys are introduced to our newest staff. Becky Kammeyer is serving as our operations manager and Emily Myers is serving as our registrar and arrangement specialist. They're actually in this Zoom tonight, so if you see them, say hi to them. You guys will probably be connecting with them a number of times when you're doing your registration process. We also have added Sarah Sang, who is serving as our youth ministry assistant for the gathering. And we're just excited to have them all in the office and on the team. And we know that they're eager to start connecting with you guys as we get closer to registration in just a few months.
We're so grateful for their work, and you'll get to see and hear from them more next month. So we're very happy to hand over the reins to them and their brilliance when we talk about registration next month. So we are so excited for that. But we are going to take just a quick break because my voice is running out for just a second. We might get on a little quicker than 7:35. But certainly you can continue to keep things in the chat, and we are so grateful that you took the time today to be with us.
Yes, and our special needs team is going to stay on for office hours, so if you have more questions about special needs support at the gathering, please feel free to stick around. If you're leaving and you're not sticking around for office hours, we will see you guys next month in September.